Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen at Cedarfield. I'm glad you all are with us today. If you are listening here live on April 7th at 3 o'clock. If you're listening tonight, thank you again for taking time out of your family life. Listen to some information about Cedarfield. The format for today, talk a little bit about our COVID-19 situation here at Cedarfield, along with our evolving preparedness plan. Touch on a little bit about our J&J vaccine clinic, and followed up with some operational updates from the administration suite. Jack Johnson is here from the maintenance department to update residents on a few items. And then Margaret is here to round out this live chat with some spiritual well-being. If anyone has any questions that we can address for the good of the order for everyone, please feel free to text at this number off to your left-hand side on your screen, and we will have a little FAQ section as a part of this live chat. First of all, I am adding back into this live chat the metric that we've been using really for the last year to guide us in our preparedness plan, which was this 7-day positivity rate. There was a downward trend of that positivity rate throughout February and even in the early part of March. And then on March 11th, we started to see that 7-day positivity rate go in a different direction. For the Commonwealth on March 11th, it was at 5.8%, and we were very hopeful that we were going to see that downward trend continue to below 5% for the state. Additionally, in Henrico County on March 11th, it was at 5.8%. And again, we were hoping throughout March that that trend would continue. We would get below 5%. That was a benchmark for the epidemiologists at the Virginia Department of Health, and just another level of comfort for them. That did not happen. In fact, on March 11th until this day, that 7-day rate has increased a little bit each day. In the Commonwealth, we sit here now at 6.6%, and in Henrico County, we are at 7.1%. And so that's a really important, as I said, metric. As I've been saying here for the last 13 months, it's been a really important metric that we use to gauge how often our COVID-19 preparedness plan team should meet, how often we should be having live chats, how often we should be printing and publishing our Cedarfield Forward plan to folks, so people are in tune with what the protocols are at Cedarfield. And so since this 7-day rate has been increasing, we are going to mention it now on the live chat again to keep everybody focused on it. Since we have a fourth wave happening in the United States, primarily the research shows that it's primarily people that are under 35 years of age, but it doesn't exclude people that are 65 years of age and better. And so the good news today is, even with that metric, our dashboard is green. In the cottages, dashboard is green in the main building here for residents and team members. The dashboard is also green in Morning Glory Avenue, which is a replacement name. Not quite sure if everybody knows that yet. Morning Glory Avenue, replacement name for memory support. And the dashboard is green for assisted living. And further good news, the dashboard is green for health services. So until I start seeing that 7-day rate start to trend downward and even below 5%, we are going to continue to communicate the metrics for each of these areas so the families that are listening around the world here tonight and or residents and team members are in the know of what the dashboard is within each specific neighborhood and department or area where residents live. Our evolving preparedness plan took a little bit of a turn over here in the last 2 weeks. Probably the main question that we've been receiving, actually 3 main questions, revolves around dining services protocol, the gatehouse protocol, and visitation. So we did publish a Cedarfield Forward Plan, a revised plan today. We communicated that plan to all the team members, and we've published that Cedarfield Forward Plan in the cubby boxes for the residents and the mailboxes for residents in the cottages, and as well that this Cedarfield Forward Plan is also posted on Touchtown. If you are a family member that's listening tonight, you can certainly feel free to reach out to one of the 5 neighborhood leaders and or Matt Dameron, the Associate Executive Director, and they can forward you the Cedarfield Forward Plan specific to one of the neighborhoods in the health services side of the campus. Just want to make note, we've mentioned this a couple of times throughout the last year, but I think it's noteworthy just to refresh this following bullet point. Just because every resident, 99% of the residents have been vaccinated and 78% of the team members have been vaccinated, that doesn't give management, me, and the leadership team a green pass to relax protocols. In fact, there are six, seven specific agencies that we still have an obligation to fulfill their regulations that they have been forwarding to us and asking us to implement. And those agencies are the following. One is the CDC. As we all have heard, they published new guidance here in the last 2 days for the general public. The Virginia governor issues guidance. Here at Cedarfield, we also have specific guidance that we have to take into consideration from the Virginia Department of Health. The Virginia Department of Health helps us guide the campus as well as our health center. The Department of Social Services in Virginia that regulates assisted living and memory support, they issue us guidance. And OSHA issues us guidance, and so does the Department of Labor. And so between those 6 different agencies, if you will, we are constantly taking that guidance and making sure that our plan, the plan that you have in your mailbox today and or your email or referring to it on Touchdown, we're making sure that that plan complies with these 6 different agencies. And so that's just the reality of things, even though that we have come so far with the vaccination clinics and our participation rate within the vaccines themselves. We still have a real obligation to make sure that these regulations are implemented. And so one of the regulations that changed here recently had to do with the gatehouse of signing people in. And the main reason for that is that we are experiencing, while not as much here in Virginia, if you look at the other 27 states with this variant that's happening and what we're calling a 4th wave, We are gearing up for different protocols at Cedarfield to make sure that people are safe living here and safe working here. And one of those protocols is to change the way that we check people in at the gatehouse. 3 weeks ago, we were taking temperature checks, and we were all asked a couple of questions, and we said no, 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 and we went on our way, and we drove onto the campus. And that kind of left us paralyzed with the inability to do any contact tracing with those temperature checks and the answers to all those questions. And so Virginia Department of Health recently said, Michael, you and your team don't have an accurate way of using the data from the gatehouse because you're not documenting it. Especially since this fourth wave is coming. We want to start to prepare for it. And so that's the main reason why we've changed the protocol at the gatehouse. The specific time that somebody comes onto the campus, including residents, including team members, the specific date and time that you come onto the campus, and the answers to all those questions along with your temperature is really great data for us in the event, knock on wood, that we need to use it for contact tracing purposes. So the second big item that has come probably frequently asked question in administration has to do with visitation and whether or not our guests are allowed to congregate in the common space areas and or in any of the dining services venues. And the answer to that question is not yet. In the health services side, assisted living and memory support, we have visitation vistas still for guests that are coming into the campus, not in a resident room or the common space. And we are asking any guest that comes to the property to please adhere to that very specific protocol. And if you are coming to the property, if you are a guest coming to the property, please, in independent living cottages or the main building, if you could just please congregate in the residence apartment and or cottage, we would be most grateful. That is a very key protocol in our Cedarfield Forward plan. And then the last most frequently asked question has to do with dining services and why are we eliminating a meal delivery program that we've had here since 1996? And the answer to that is quite simple. We actually started a meal delivery program. We refer to it as a pandemic preventative meal delivery program back in March of last year. And in order to open up the restaurants, Prima, Cedar Grill, and Pub 2300 and the Atrium Cafe, in order to open those back up using public health preventive measures, we need the labor that was used for the delivery program. And so the Virginia Department of Health has given us clearance to have residents at 2 tops, 4 tops, and 6 top tables in the restaurants as long as everyone's vaccinated. But in order to do that, we have to have servers available in those venues. So if anybody has any further questions about this item, please feel free to call down to David Stewart's office. Jim Veneer and Steve can walk you through why we're doing this, and or feel free to call down to the main administration suite. In terms of COVID-19 vaccine distribution, we have our first Johnson & Johnson clinic here on Friday. We're very excited about that. I think we have 10 people being vaccinated this week. We're doing it in tandem with the Hermitage closer to downtown, and we're going to facilitate a clinic here in the Fellowship Hall for folks that also need the vaccine from that community. Again, if any resident or any prospective future resident that's moving in here within the next 4 months that's listening, if you need the vaccine, we have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine available. We can get you on our schedule. Just call Ann Hopper in the clinic. Any team member that is still not vaccinated and has done their research about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and is comfortable with that particular vaccine, please contact Connie McGowan, our infection control specialist, and those two leaders will take that information and form another clinic. When we absolutely have to have 5 people to facilitate a clinic, a minimum of 5 people, and because actually we have to do it in increments of 5, because that's how many doses of the Johnson & Johnson are in one vial. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jack Johnson, who has some updates with maintenance, and then I'll come back and facilitate some more administrative updates about Cedar Field. Jack?
Good afternoon. I'm Jack Johnson, the Assistant Director of Maintenance and Engineering. I have a few updates and things to talk about. One of the big things, the campus paving project is coming to an end here. Most of the paving work is all done. Just some striping and stuff needs to be completed over the next few days. But I wanted to thank everyone for their cooperation and help with moving the cars around. I know it was an inconvenience, but the place really looks nice. They've done a really good job. So next week, starting Monday the 12th, the next 20 cottages that have been identified as needing immediate attention, we will start to have those replaced. So the next 20 have been identified, and we have been in contact with the contractor, and he will be making some rounds to visit with the people that we've identified to let them know what's going to take place. So we will get that information out to the residents in those cottages tomorrow, I believe, in a memo in the mailboxes and things. The Comcast upgrades to the cable boxes, that's kind of an ongoing thing. They should be finishing up by the end of the week. It's going pretty smooth. If you have any questions or problems with that, please call Gloria, and we will dispatch someone over to take care of, remote problems or any kind of things like that. So if you have any questions, anything, if you need to get a hold of me, the quickest way is through Gloria. If you call the 474-8806, we will get back to you or answer your question right then. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thank you, Jack. One other thing about A1 Asphalt, who helped repave the entire community in less than 3 weeks, which really is just a miracle. I understand there are some concerns about the speed bumps on the lane. We did want to install a couple of speed bumps, and this particular company that we've used has said that they have installed the speed bumps to the standard specifications that they use really in any apartment setting and or a commercial setting. And so I've driven over those speed bumps. I can't even count over here in the last week or so, just to make sure that I was comfortable with them as well. And just a note that we do have speed limit signs of 14.5 miles per hour. That's a maximum speed limit. I received a couple of requests from various people around the community that maybe we should have some speed humps, not a bump, and those typical ones that kind of level off, plateau off, and then cycle down. Those usually they're really not effective in helping someone reduce their speed. People usually fly right over top of them. And so that's the reason we've built 4 of them on the lane. We have received complimentary things about those speed bumps and or information about or a timeline of when we're installing speed bumps around the main building that runs adjacent or parallel to the lane. And so at this point, we're not including any speed bumps on that area. Typically, people drive a little slower than 14 and a half miles an hour closer in and around to the building for the simple fact that they see pedestrians and there's a lot of cars in that parking lot. So at this point, we are not installing speed bumps in that area. If you are in the D-Wing building, Jack and I are going to facilitate another conference call with y'all on Friday at 3 o'clock. And I will publish a memo tomorrow with the specific telephone number and the code to get into the conference call. This is a conference call to update everyone in D-Wing with the 4 or 5 remaining warranty items and the timeline of us scheduling those warranty items here in April. As it relates to the new household building, we are on target. We just received the final documentation yesterday, the certificate of occupancy. I was never more joyful in my entire life than to see one 8.5 by 11 white piece of paper that said certificate of occupancy household. So that was the final hurdle with the county in order to have our grand opening and move people into the household. And so we are on target to have our ribbon cutting, our blessing, next Tuesday, followed by team members touring household on Wednesday, and then residents touring on Thursday. Very exciting week next week. On Thursday, we will have shuttles constantly running from 8:30 to about 3:15, 3:30 around the community at various entrances to pick people up and the cottages and therefore drop residents off at the household. According to when you signed up, I believe the binder is still in the cubby box room. If anybody wishes to sign up, there's a couple of slots that are still open for next Thursday. And then additionally, we are still on target for those families that are listening tonight. We are still on target to relocate residents that live in Morning Glory Avenue, otherwise once known as Sunshine Plaza, on April 19th, the following Monday. Speaking of renovations, we are one permit away with the county. We should hopefully receive that permit next week, which will give clearance for our next general contractor, Horrigan, the green light to begin renovations in the administration suite over in the Health Services building, along with the assisted living dining room. That'll be that first next phase. And so more information hopefully to come next week about that. And then once Horrigan General Contractor is here next week to begin that phase, they are also gearing up to work with us on a couple other additional projects here in the front of the main building, which is to refresh the lobby, refresh the library, refresh the chapel, renovate the Faith Center, and help us rebuild the clinic. And the last project would be recarpeting the 3rd and 4th floor here in the main building. And so A lot of different upgrades happening here in the next 6 to 9 months. But speaking of the majority of these other side projects, the lobby, the library, the chapel, the Faith Center, we do have resident participation in helping us pick out the design of those specific areas with colors, fabrics, and the type of furniture that we're going to use. So we're excited about that. We're going to be meeting with residents in the next next 2 weeks to make final selections. Any other frequently asked questions? We have We have 5 questions. First question is, will you consider fully vaccinated out-of-town family members to stay overnight in resident apartments? That is one item that is under consideration. We know that there's many people who haven't seen family members, quite honestly, for over a year. And if that particular family member is vaccinated, can we have them stay overnight in any resident accommodation? So that while I can't answer this question with a definitive yes, it is on our list to talk to the Virginia Department of Health at our next meeting here in 2 weeks. Next question is, one day last week I was handed a pen to sign in at the gate that a contractor had just used. Has that protocol been changed? Answer, yes. So no, you should not be handed a pen to sign in. That's the security team's responsibility. The resident, the team member or guest or contractor doesn't have to sign anything. So if that's the case, we will, Jack can revisit with security one more time not to hand anybody any pens. Next question, 3 more questions. Can we have 3 people visit in an apartment instead of 2? The answer is no, not yet. Given the size of the apartments, compared to the space inside of a cottage, we are uncomfortable with preventative public health measures and having more than 2 people in an apartment at this point. But this one is on the top of our list to change as soon as we can get verification from our partners at the Department of Health. Next question, with the changes to dining that we just mentioned, does that mean I can't pick up my meal on the 4th floor?
They were talking about takeout. They confused between takeout and meal.
Oh. So the question really has to do with the difference between meal delivery, which there's a meal dropped off at your front door, compared to a takeout, which is a meal that's prepared and stored in the Cedar Grill, and a resident comes and picks up that takeout. So the takeout program commenced on Monday, and that takeout program was a replacement for a meal delivery program. Meal delivery, bags go to the apartments, facilitated by staff. The takeout program is the residents come to the restaurant, the Cedar Grill, to pick up their meal to take out. So that takeout program is now 3 days into that protocol. The 5th question is, can visitors congregate outside at the community? Can visitors go with me to the cafe to order food? So visitors are not allowed in the common space area, even to order food in the cafe. And can visitors congregate outside at the community? The answer is yes. if family members come to the community and you wish to walk with somebody outside, please feel free to do that. We do have one more question. Given data presented today, why are we not requiring vaccine of all segments of our community? Why are we not requiring vaccinations? If I'm understanding the question correctly, the legal world has not rendered an opinion yet whether or not that it's legal to mandate that every person who enters our property is vaccinated. We are working with our legal counsel in trying to understand what are the pros and cons and what's the legal ruling with in other states, even outside of retirement communities. Is there any precedent that has been pushed forward? And so this one's an ongoing one. If we're going to do it for residents and team members, we would certainly want to do it for anyone that comes onto the property in order to make it fair. And so at this point, Cedar Field is not requiring someone to be fully vaccinated in order to enter the community. Okay, any other questions? No other questions? I'm going to turn it over to Margaret, who has some spiritual well-being, words of spiritual well-being. I hope you all have a great Wednesday night, and we'll see you around the community in the next couple of days.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you today. We are in the midst of such a joyous season. We've celebrated Easter and we've celebrated Passover recently, and it's finally spring. And that is just something to celebrate in and of itself. I hope you find opportunities to get outside and enjoy the warmth of the sun and the beautiful gardens and flowers that are just beginning to bloom. I walked by the garden beds earlier this afternoon, and there's some gorgeous color down there, so try to see that. To celebrate all of this, I would like to share a poem by Helen Steiner Rice entitled Spring Garden. So when I look at those flowers, I was looking at God, for they bloomed in his sun and grew in his sod, and each lovely flower was a voice from above that whispered a message of kindness and love. For I feel in my heart, and I know you do too, that God speaks to us all through the kind things we do. And when I looked at those flowers, I couldn't help but feel that they brought heaven nearer and made God so very real. Everyone have a good evening. Thank you.